Great, well, thank you for the introduction. As mentioned, my name is Ben Warren, Head of Sales and Marketing at the Software Bureau, and it's a great, fantastic opportunity to introduce Clean Contacts to you. Just very briefly, the Software Bureau, we're a market-leading development business providing data processing, data hygiene, postal sortation software solutions, all in the mouthful. But we've been going back 20 years. We had desktop solutions, then we developed cloud-based and applications, and then we created an API, which led to us creating Clean Contacts early this year. So we're a new ISV, and we're looking to sort of get as maximum awareness and create as many partnerships as possible. Before I go into the solution itself, I just wanted to sort of raise some key points which Clean Contacts addresses, but also this presentation will as well. Every business within the UK holds UK consumer data has to clean their data. It's not an option, and that's from a GDPR perspective or a customer engagement perspective. However, with clean data, opportunities are created and risks are reduced. We have recognised, and from feedback talking to users of Dynamics 365 and other partners, that the current process for cleansing data can be really hard, complicated, and it restricts activity. Clean Contacts is completely unique, not only unique for the CRM market, but also for Microsoft. And for any partners who want to resell the solution, it provides the opportunity for recurring revenue. So very briefly, why would a business want to clean data? Well, firstly, it increases insight. So accurate data going in will deliver accurate and reliable results. And there's a lot now about using insights within Dynamics to understand who your customers are, what they're doing. But if the data you're analysing is inaccurate and not up to date, then the chances are the results aren't going to be reliable. It increases marketing effectiveness, maximising ROI and minimising waste. It maximises customer engagement, enables brands to engage and build strong and profitable relationships. It provides the ability to adhere to compliance and governance. So I mentioned GDPR earlier. GDPR 5.1D, to be boring, dictates that businesses that hold UK information has to keep it up to date and accurate. And 5.1.F says that it has to be done and data has to be processed in a secure manner. And it limits risk. Limits the risk of sending communications to a brand that to a person, who may have passed away, or it limits the risk of engaging with somebody who actually isn't who they say they are. So let me go on to Clean Contacts. Clean Contacts enables automated batch cleansing of UK consumer data, identifying where an individual has moved, where they've moved to, or if they've passed away. The solution is hosted within the Azure environment and is incorporated into Dynamics using Power Platform. There are three components to the solution, but they can be configured however you want. The first component is moved away, and this is a flag to say that an individual has moved from the stored address. And this can be applied to any account, contact, or lead. Second component is moved to. So this is where available an updated address, and this can be applied to accounts and contacts. And then finally, there's passed away. This is a flag to say that an individual within your database that's matched of source, data source, that says that they have passed away, and this can be applied to an account, contact, or leads. Clean Contacts is a solution of the Software Bureau. However, it has been developed in collaboration with 3 Tier 1 data providers, and this gives us access to over 250 million verified, compliant, and regularly updated records. And this is Royal Mail, Malta Screen, which is Wilmington Millennium, and the Red Group. As I mentioned earlier, we've been operating for about 20 years, and we've been offering this service for all that time. So it's not new to us. We're used to this service and working with brands to help them keep their data up to date. But as I mentioned, Clean Contact is completely new and unique for Microsoft, and it's only Microsoft available. So this solution isn't available for Salesforce or any other CRM solution. This probably won't be new to you, but I just wanted to review it, comparing the current processes to what Clean Contacts can do. So you have the traditional method where a business would have to export data. Once they export it, send it to multiple data processes to match against their data sources. They would then process it and then return the results back saying that so many records have highlighted that somebody has moved, or so many records someone has passed away. And then there would be a cost associated per flag or per update to these records. The user would then decide if they want to process or go ahead with that data, and they do, so they process it, and then it goes back into Microsoft Dynamics. There's many risks because there's so many different touch points, from exporting data, moving it around, sending it to third parties, and the end user loses control of their data the minute they send it to a third party. It's time and resource heavy. It takes time to extract that data, to send it, to process it, probably on average 3 to 5 days for that process to occur. One of the big common sort of issues we have and restrictions we have with current data processing within Dynamics 365 is the limited activity that has occurred, because this is normally done at a campaign level. A business, I've worked with many different retail businesses, and they won't clean their data until the last minute. So they've identified a sector they want to target, they then extract that data, they then send it for cleansing, and then they find out how much it's going to cost. Then they might not do it because it's too expensive. Or they do it, and the issue they have is that they've only cleansed a section of their data. They won't do all of their database, only the data that they've selected. So it means that some data has never been updated. And I keep mentioning about the cost, it's transactional, and the cost is always unknown until the last minute. So there's always a bit of an edgy moment about, well, how much it's going to cost us. So let's clean our data, but we don't know how much it's going to cost. Is it worth cleaning it? Shall we do it? With the clean contacts, it's all done within Azure, so no data has to leave the environment. That means that automated cleansing can be carried out in a secure manner. Little storage is required. All we're returning back is a date stamp or address fields. I keep talking about the costs and saying it's about transactional. With clean contacts, we're being very unique in the market in terms of offering a subscription cost model, which I'll come on to later. And it's really easy to install. So how does it work? So clean contacts has been imported into Dynamics 365, and it's all processed within the Azure, and all data is passed through our Swift Core API. This is a RESTful API that's capable of processing billions of records at any time. Data is collated, encrypted, and sent for matching. It's matched against moved away and passed away. All data that we match against is held within the Azure, so we hold that data. It's not sent to any third party. Then a report is created to say what the match results are. Now, at this point, this amount of the solution, this can be downloaded today, and it can be run straight away, and a match report can be created. And we've got a sideline product called Free Data Health Check, which sort of illustrates that process. And this is just showing that with no commitment or cost, a report can be created to give the end user the ability to review their data very quickly. So they don't have to commit to anything. You can just say, I want to know how up to date my data is. They do this, get the report, and they find out. And we can do this quite easily. And what we'll do also is deploy, once we recognise somebody has downloaded the report or created the report, we'll deploy a nurture campaign to support them and provide them any guidance and make sure they've got all the information they require. If they continue, then they get all the flags to say that someone's moved or passed away, or the new address details are appended to a record and then fed back into Clean Contacts. So that is the Clean Contact solution. We're talking to many different Microsoft partners because we believe that this solution can be enhanced by them and additional value added. And this is at the front end and the back end. The front end is the trigger. What will spark that solution? Currently, it's a manual click a button and the flow will be deployed. But we believe it can be much more clever than that. It can be an event, it could be a campaign, it could be an age of a record, or it could be scheduled that every Sunday when there's no activity in the business, the solution is triggered and the whole of the database is updated and cleansed, ready for Monday morning. But also, what happens at the back end? You know, is it so really clever that opportunity can be highlighted by sending a message to the account manager or the business to say there's been a change in this person's personal circumstances, and it's a great opportunity to upsell, cross-sell. So I worked with a furniture retailer, and someone moving home was a massive indication that somebody's in business in the market to buy or sell, or to buy, sorry, not sell. So it's really important for them to know that somebody's moved. And there could be lots of different industries. So knowing someone's moved might spark off note to the account manager to say, give this person a call, or it might deploy a comms, an email, a direct mail to that person to say, we understand there's been a change. How about, is this correct? Or it's an opportunity to engage with them. But also it can highlight risk. So it could send a notification to the finance department to say, make sure there's no activity on this account because we've got notification that this person has passed away. So we really believe that Clean Contacts work standalone, but with a Microsoft partner, it can be actually more value can be added. What I'm going to do is very quickly give you a quick brief tour of the solution. So we're in Dynamics and we've installed the solution here. It comes in two components, the core solution, which is Clean Contacts, and then the Sales Hub solution, which is the added functionality. And this is the part that we would update when any new updates come along to make it really easy to install updates into the Power Automate platform. The flow is here. As you can see, it's a number of different stages. I'm not going to go through each stage, and you'd be glad to know I'm not going to run it. This was run for about 8,000 records, and it took 5 minutes. But as we know, with demos, 5 minutes feels like 2 hours, so I did it in advance. I won't go through each stage, but there's some key ones I wanted to highlight to you. This particular flow is running against the contact entities, but it can be configured to run against, as I mentioned earlier, leads or accounts. We also recognise that at some point Microsoft are going to start enforcing API call limits on the daily limits. So this worried us straight from the beginning, because if you have a large database, especially for the initial cleanse job, you might use all those call limits up straight away. So we've put in here the ability to limit the number of records read at one time. And this is called what we call continuous cleansing. So this is set at 100,000, but business may have, and for example, 100,000 records, and they can set that at 20,000 records. And what will happen is the flow would run and it would collect 20,000 records for cleansing and then stop once those have been cleansed. And then tomorrow it'll run again and pick up another 20,000, and it'll keep picking up 20,000 records until the whole database has been cleansed. And that means then that their whole database is cleansed, but all within their API call limits, because other activity may be going on behind the scenes. We're still waiting for some accurate reporting on how many API calls Clean Contacts takes up. But from what we understand, talking to Microsoft, it's one call for submitting to be matched, and then one call, any matches coming back into Dynamics. But that's all we know at the moment. So the data is collated and matched, as I've mentioned before, and then it will create the report. And this is deployed to anybody within Teams. So it's an active card, and it will they will get a report that says the number of records been submitted, how many matched against passed away, moved away, and moved to. But also in here, we put an approval process. This is really for governance. So a business may feel that they don't want updates or new information imported into Dynamics without their approval, to put some control in there. So we have an approval process. This can be easily deleted. It's really a sort of an option, really. But what will happen here is the flow will stop and an email will be sent like this to an individual to say the process was triggered. These are the match results. Do you want the results? Do you want the flags and the new data? And they either click to approve or reject. If they click approve, then they get it's approved, and the approvals are also in the app within Teams. So somebody within Teams can monitor all the approvals that have gone through. And then the solution will continue and update Dynamics. So we go into Dynamics and we're in the Sales Hub. And you can see that we've downloaded the solution and we've got Clean Contacts, Clean Accounts and Clean Leads, depending on what entity we're targeting. And in this particular one, we're targeting the contact entity. So we can see on the dashboard, it's still in development, this dashboard, but it shows you the basics, the match results that came through and all the data around it. If it's the first time they're doing a health check, then obviously there'll be lots of results back. If they're doing it on a regular basis, then they're going to be much fewer and easier to manage. But with here we have all the dummy data. So we have Thomas passed away, one of the 284. And we click on, and within the record, we can see there's a flag to say that they matched against passed away at this particular date and time, and there's a tab for clean contacts. And we go into there, and there's the flag to say that this person matched, and it's the match date. It's not the date they passed away, it's the date they matched against clean contacts. And then here they can deactivate the account should they want to. Again, this is where we see Microsoft partners can add their sort of expertise in configuring the solution to either have an automated process here or a much more stylish approach than just a deactivation button. But if for any reason they can, if they want to, they can clear this flag, and they can also exclude it from future cleansing. Similarly, we've got moved away, which would be very similar. And then we also have move to. This is where we've found a new address for this individual. What we don't do is override existing data. We're just providing the new data. So this is the original information of this individual. And we go into clean contacts, and we have the flag move to. Now, because it's dummy data, it's only matched against move to. If it was real data, it would be matched against moved away as well, because we've recognized this person's moved and we've got a new address for them. And then we have the new address details here for that individual. And quite simply, they can click on apply move to, and that will just override this information here, and they can save the record. Again, we've given the option to clear the flag and exclude from future cleansing. The only reason why we've done that is when we were creating the solution during last year, we sort of went back to a number of different Microsoft partners to ask for their feedback. And sometimes they felt that, especially with accounts, there could be a family account, or there could be an address account, or whatever, for many different reasons. So they might feel that actually, yes, we know this person lives at 9876 Road, but this is the postal address that we're happy with. So they just might not want to clear that flag. So we just put it in there as an option, really. Also, you can update multiple records by selecting multiple records, multiple people, and running the flow from the dashboard quite simply, and applying the update. So that will just update every record we've highlighted with a new address. So that's the solution. I'm just going back into the presentation. Are there any questions at this point? Nope.
Doesn't look like it. I'm not seeing any questions in the chat.
Good. Sorry, for a second there, I thought I'd lost connection. I've been talking to myself. Okay, excellent. Thank you. So, as I mentioned earlier, easy to install. Just want to run through the setup process. We've made it so it's almost self-serve. So, although there's lots of that value that a Microsoft partner can add, it can just be installed very quickly by the end user. They simply go to AppSource, which we have a listing, or our website, and that'll guide them to a portal. They register onto the portal, accept the terms and conditions and our data use terms, and then they have access. Within the portal, we have the solution where they can download an ID and secret, which will link their details to that particular account. But also within the portal, there's reporting that will show all their usage, how many records they've processed and the different jobs, and if they're applied. There's a billing options. They can set up billing and see all their invoicing, but also we have full documentation. So our developers have built a Bitbucket that includes all tips, guides, videos to show how you can install this, how you should install a solution, how it can be configured, how you can change the environment variables, everything you need to manage the solution yourself. Once they've downloaded the solution, it just gets imported and can be configured. It can be imported really easily, as you probably know, and the configuration is really easy for the free data health check. So I think it's about 30 clicks of a button, and once they've installed it, put in the ID and secret and then installed it, they've gone to the flow, and all they need to do is configure the entity that you're targeting. Is it contacts, leads, or accounts? Who the Teams message is going to, and if you want the sign-off process. And if you want the sign-off process, who the email goes to, or approval process, sorry, or if you don't want it, to delete it. But once they've done that, the solution is ready to go, and the free data health check will be provided. Of course, at this point, this is where a Microsoft partner would add further configuration to make sure it really is aligned to the business and their requirements. Should they want to proceed at that point, they can set up payments, and this can be done by credit card or invoice, and I'll come on to costs in a minute. and then after that, it just goes live and is ready to go. So it's really 5 steps, but it's really easy. I can do it, so it should be very simple. For any resellers, we've tried to make it as flexible as possible because we recognise that every reseller might want to address this differently. So our reseller agreement covers all sort of options, from simply providing us with an introduction of a name and address of one of their customers who would be interested in it, and we can do the sales, or we can talk them through it and guide them and help them, support them and get them up and running, all the way through from you, the reseller, guiding the end user through that process, or also an end user can actually incorporate clean contacts into their own proposition. So we wouldn't have any contact with the end user. The partner would register on their behalf, and we would actually bill the reseller, not the end user. So we're really open. We want to make it as flexible as possible to get as many people out there using clean contacts. I've mentioned the costs. So there's not one business out there currently, or one solution that offers a subscription model. So we really are groundbreaking, and with our data partners, we're sort of trying something new here. And this is purely based on the number of records being cleaned, whether it be a number of accounts, leads or contacts, and it's a fixed monthly or annual payment. They would declare how many, or the end user declares how many records are being cleaned, and then they would pay a certain annual or monthly fee, but there's no limits on the amount of processing. I mean, it could be done daily, but some our deceased records are updated weekly, and the address records are updated, some bi-weekly, some monthly. So you probably every fortnight or every month would probably be enough, but it can be done as many times as they want, and it doesn't matter how many updates are applied. On average, just so you're aware, it's back between 3 to 4% of data. Sorry, 30%, not 3 to 4, 30 to 35% of data decays in a year, whether there's people moving or passing away. But because of what's happened last year and also the housing market, that's actually increased by 37 to 40%. So it gives you an idea of how much change is going on within a database. See the bandings here. I'm pretty sure A, B, and C won't be appropriate to Dynamics, but it just shows the different scales. Once they get to band H, which is over 250,000 records, which we probably assume a lot of people fall into, we haven't continued the sort of pricing algorithm because it gets larger value, and actually we want to be as competitive as possible and make it sort of almost the same as if they were going to do the more long-winded process. So what we would do is we'd run a health check, see how clean their data is, and then provide them with custom pricing. And obviously we were looking for resellers and partners to come on board, so there is a reseller scheme and a revenue share opportunity. So to summarise, what's in it for the Microsoft partner? Well, we believe it enables you to maintain a competitive edge, offering something that's completely unique for Dynamics 365, but also for the whole market. It enables you to drive compliance, adhering to GDPR effectively. Provides recurring revenue, as I mentioned before. There is a revenue share opportunity, and we really believe that once the business has this in-house or installed, and is running behind the scenes, there's no reason why they wouldn't continue renewing. We also believe this is a wider opportunity. I've said before, the ability to enhance this solution with further development of the Dynamics environment, but also to offer complementary services, whether it be deduplication or validation. So we're working in partnership with Data8, who offer a solution that does deduplication. If you're going to declare the number of records you have within your environment, you'd want to make sure that's accurate, so you're paying the right amount. So we probably suggest they do a deduplication through Data8, and then they have an updated figure or a realistic figure. We really believe it's an easy win. Now, as I mentioned before, every business that holds UK information has to cleanse it. And at the moment, they're probably doing it in a very hard way, or they're limiting it so they're not getting full advantage of cleaning up and accurate data. So we believe it's an easy win. But what's in it for the D365 user? Well, it's peace of mind. Their data is being kept up to date and accurate. They're maximising engagement by making all their comms relevant, and they're not wasting resource. They're getting quality insight, meaningful knowledge from accurate data. As I mentioned, minimising waste, but also risk. They're not sending inappropriate or unnecessary communications. It's transparency in terms of the cost. They know exactly how much their data cleansing is going to cost them over a 12-month period. And it's simple. Once it's installed, then no work or efforts required. So really, we'd like any resellers out there to join the program. I'm more than happy to send them the agreement and for them to then register and get the solution and read the documentation, or any end users to register and access the solution themselves and take a free data health check and see it work. You know, we are a new ISV. We're hungry. We want to work with as many people as possible. We're talking to Microsoft, who seem very interested in it, but we want to grow our channels. So we'll do whatever's required to support you or to support anybody to get my clean contacts out there. Thank you very much for your time, and please, I'm always here if any support's required.